hand over to you, Alina. Let me screen share. Let's give her a warm welcome. Thanks, Alina.
Thank you, thank you. You know, even these small details with Kiev and Kiev, not Kiev, you know, on this campaign is around that like, yeah, the identity now, like we are like really precise about small details, like how Ukrainian transliteration, you know, important and things like that. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, so it's a bit small scale, but maybe you can still see, yeah, hopefully. Oh, amazing, amazing. That will be helpful. Yeah, it's some, yeah, just overview from last years. So yeah, Kali, you can go like quite fast with that because yeah, it's about illustration and games. And yeah, you can skip this one. And so the plan for the presentation is to tell you like my background, illustration, book design, and selected exhibition, which I had like for the last time, and then like show you how it brought me to games in education. And then now, like while I've been preparing this presentation, I realized that I had in 2020 is a very like project which is about Ukraine already, and now like from 2 years perspective, I see like how you know how things changed and didn't change at the same time. So I wanted to share it as well. And then, yeah, like Exodus, it's a board game which I've been preparing as for my PDF, PhD dissertation. Yeah. PDF, yeah, something. Yeah, so I can share what it was about. So there's a plan. Feel free to ask questions and so on and stop me at any point. So just to overview, you know, and show background and where I'm coming from. So the illustration and book design was my main thing for the 7 years, and I was have been different kind of playful project in visual arts. Yeah, so yeah, you can go ahead, Kali.
Okay. Is everyone seeing that? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was using visual media for like having connections through books. So for example, it's the alphabet, yes, but alphabet which like having this opening aspect. So it was alphabet of Kiev. So what it is about, like all the common places, and all the time I had this interactive element in visuals and wanted to people play with that. Yeah, it was appearing in multiple projects. Yeah. So for example, the image around the nails or to draw inside to the books or because I do a lot of sketches and I wanted to inspire people also to do their observation about places, about so I moved from Kiev to Warsaw in 2015, so it also changed my perspective and I moved to London in 2019. So that was like my different perspective of observing cities and people and their lifestyle. So I wanted to inspire people also to do their observation without fear, even on the exhibition. So that was very fun to see what people would connect, you know, as letters from their cities, like what would be the keyword for city where they live. So for example, if the elevator was not the elevator, this escalator was a keyword, for example, for Warsaw people, because everyone who, and they start to saying, oh, when I came to Warsaw, it was the first time in my life when I used, you know, escalator in tube, you know, something like that. Yeah, so I can go ahead. And I was doing felt making as well for books, and they were also three-dimensional, so people can touch it or having toys, or they were books which were quite interactive. By the way, talking about Aix-en-Provence, like it was also this book I was showing there at the time, a book of Ecclesiastes, so from Old Testimony, this was etching. Yeah, you can click faster. There are quite a bunch of pictures here. Thank you. Yeah, that was another project in tower of aim, an alphabet of misunderstandings. People were supposed to go around the tower, and at the very top, in the video installation is in there, it's showing that every time you are going around to your aims, it has a big hole inside and going down. So it was a bit of this circle around. So yeah, I wouldn't like go deep to the other concepts, just to give you an idea what kind of projects they were earlier, and what brought me to games, because that was Alphabet of Misunderstanding, the project which Indian proverb about elephants, so everyone has their truth, and so they were blind wise men who didn't know what is in front of them, but they were touching elephant from different places here, and they were saying, "Oh, it's a Trump. No, oh, it's a wall, or like, you know, everything. So Trump is a snake," and you know, this kind of sensation. So this game was referring to that story and showing that, yeah, we have so many different perspectives, and not necessarily one is the only truth. So we need to be tolerant about others and sharing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and from there, it was very nice to feel how interactive elements are working with visual arts, and like in different contexts, not only indoor, was outdoor, with children, with adults. Yeah, so that inspired me to go closer to games, and also use it in education. So Johan Huizinga was my big inspiration. His research, like Homo Ludens. So he was telling like how a lot of freedom we have, like it's free activity, which is not serious, but in the same time absorbing player intensely and literally. So it was something that was linking me to art so much. And we also cherish our freedom, how we don't take it seriously, but in the same time absorbing, you know, and like trying to get as much as possible from just linked in some point. And then I started to work with workshops with a group of people and creating games which were educational and trying to link people from other contexts or cultures. So this project was with Memopara showing that like Ukrainian and German alphabet and the cultural background. So that was aiming to show that like there are so many similar letters, but even they're different, you shouldn't be scared of them, and you can learn it in a playful way. So like based on memo game where you need to combine pairs. So that was very intense and like practical in a way to learn languages. Yeah, and we were also learned a lot during the creating the project, because it was a bunch of people who never designed game, and it led us to understand each other. So we did another board game, Platz card. So why it was super interesting in terms of anthropological point of view. So it's an organization, German organization, who I met in 2018, and I haven't realized how important meaning it will be for me later on, because they were led to build connection of use after the disconnection that happened, union and everything, like how much it affected generation. And now we were in 2018, like, decades and decades after. And still they were working on building connection and like given a chance of youth to be friends again without like remembering the past. So that was very intense message, and we were working on like how we can be friends through games, through art, through all of that. So now, like, obviously I'll come back to the topic of war in Ukraine, but that was kind of answer for me how how to build connection. However, like it's showing at the same time that like over 60, 70 years of strategy, it's not something like short lasting. So it's a huge work for generation to build this connection, because at the moment, it's just, something's ruined. But this project was, very beautiful. So we built that connection at that point. Okay.
I love the guy at the back scratching his head. He was like, whoa.
Yeah, actually, he was like core author of the project. So he's German. It's very funny. We communicate with him in Polish. However, he speaks Ukrainian and English as well, and he is German himself. It was crazy. Yeah, it was very nice. And he's living in Görlitz. It's a place on the between Germany and Poland, just on the border. So we went to develop this postcard game later on to the border, and that was also in Canada. You just cross the river and you are already, in Poland, or across the river back in Germany. And it's like city of, on the middle of countries like Strasbourg or others. Yeah, so that was a very nice and beautiful project.
Yeah. Well, keep going, Alina.
So these are just examples, waiting hours in like drawing stereotypes, or this word which was I'm not able to pronounce it, but it's kind of the fear of, or the limitation of the law which protect animals' ear. So Germans have special word for that. But the aim was to show that L is same letter like listopad and love. I wouldn't try to spell it, but like kind of, maybe it's a little bit scary on the way, because it's just few words linked together. But it was showing that, the spelling is not as scary. So those who already know in German this word, they would associate it with the letter we have in Ukrainian. And at the same time, Ukrainians would learn about something that they have in Germany, but maybe we don't have this regulation in Ukraine yet. This kind of differences. Okay.
Keep going.
And it's an amazing letter, she. You see how many? So it's the same letter we have in Ukrainian. It's just she. But to spell it in Germany, you need the 7 letters. So that was very funny. But at the same time, again, if you get used to, you are not as scary. So shitka, so you would have it as a images were created. Also, all the collages were created, but by non-artists. All the people who were participating used just in that project. Yeah, now, guys are doing so much different things there. So I become so much more into games and like board games, and trying to focus on that. Other thing was this side project is understanding Ukraine. So it was also a request of German organization trying to build this connection. What Ukraine is about? Where are these gaps, and like what I don't know what is special about our memory, and through very hard pages in history. And this wheat for crows, it was something related to famine in 1922 and 1933. It was famine in which like millions of people died. We don't have a proper number, but it's between 6 to 10 million people. Just imagine, there are not even countries like that. So it was huge, like genocide, and it's happened a few times. And now again, history repeating itself, like not in a positive way. Like we were hoping, we wouldn't lead to that, but also the economical crisis and the fires Russians organized in Ukrainian fields just to to cut wheat in our land, and like lead to economical crisis. However, Ukraine also the 5th main distributor of wheat in Europe, so it's not only affecting Ukraine, but whole Europe. So that was like kind of reflection on the time of famine in 1922 and 1933. So that was just brief kind of feeling, you know, and I was inspired by Van Gogh drawings of crones, where they were flying around the field, and you know, all this dramatic atmosphere and almost the skeletons, which were absolutely awful. People been torturing and like dying through you know, hunger. It was absolutely unaccepted. However, only in 2004 it was accepted as Holodomor. As a genocide, yeah. So it's been called as a Holodomor in Ukrainians, like kind of killing by hunger, by famine. So you know, kind of, it's still, we have it in our history. We have it like somewhere where in subconscious. Yeah. So next one was relating to our Soviet Union boundaries. Yes, like what like how many people are still having like such Soviet Union mentality, and like it's sometimes like getting very heavy, yeah, and like people can move forward. However, like we have like the 30 years of independence, so it's like time to learn and like time to build, and so that's why I use energy is so important. Yeah, so building our identity through like now many people switching back to Ukrainian language, even they've been using Russian. Yes, and like it's a huge switch, just shifting, you know, all this mindset. So it's a long time process, and it's going in a very positive direction. However, like through absolutely tragic events. So it's just like more to understand Ukraine. Yeah. So next one was related to Crimea. Obviously, 2014, the annexion happened like that. So, you know, they just came and took Ukraine, like into like Crimea, which is part of Ukraine, very much. Yeah. So for me, it's like we were like every summer we were going there with family just to enjoy like amazing views, like amazing place, like literally if you would like I don't know, like Switzerland, like you have rocks and you have or like France or I don't know, like it's just absolutely beautiful weather, beautiful sea there, beautiful rocks, beautiful nature, beautiful, like for 5 meters you can see rocks on the you know, water. Like, it's very beautiful, and they just came and took and make it a mess in there, and now like Ukrainians have to fight it back. Well, you know the story is absolutely awful. So for me it was like kind of my beautiful land and my sentiment just being, you know, imprisoned. So kind of how can you be as much harsh? Yeah, so that was other part of understanding Ukraine and how we feel about it. And then, yeah, other thing was about hope. Yeah, so still we hope, like we dream about, you know, new beginnings. So that was 2 years ago, and like I was thinking, okay, we still wanted to believe in better future in you know, all the development, all the economic development, all the you know, yes, we still have like maybe West segregation problem, or just maybe like fighting against corruption and so on and so on. But like we were on the way, we like have a huge potential, and like everyone was so excited about our future, you know, and the same many people now remain in Ukraine trying to fight for this future. And yeah, it's quite painful. So yeah, so that was that everything, you know, will be better. And then I start drawing more. Yes, here I have a few more illustration of yeah, what was happening just after February 24th. Yeah, so that was just a whole nightmare, and I start publishing it like on Instagram after some time, because sorry, I realized it was my coping mechanism. Yeah, if I wouldn't document it, it's just, you know, something that was overwhelming. So this picture was like one of the hardest moments for me in terms of, yeah, it was total nightmare kind of. I was so devastated in just the purpose of life at all, like why we need to live if this is happening, you know. It was like so much huge scale. So it was just my way to let it go, you know. Even it was super fast, super short, and the drawings I did with this flower was also like took me just a few minutes, but it was like the moment which I wanted to document. A few more in here. This Victoria clock was only the moment kind of in the beginning of the invasion, like I couldn't believe it would be so long lasting. And like every day was just, okay, can we do just, Victory o'clock, when it was in the Grinch Cafe nearby Oxford Street. We have it used to be, Alexa, can we skip to 2022? When it was 2020 during the COVID, and everyone was so tired of being indoor and like kind of, can we just pretend, okay, you want one more year, so we can just keep it somehow, but we don't want to live this year indoor. We want this normal mind to do like this, skip this moment. It's not something that we want to live in. And same was with next image for calendars. I was passing by the store with. I like calendars. I have like a lot of planning, so I usually draw it like myself, different kind of calendars and something. I love planning, and then I want to buy one, and they were like absolutely unnecessary, the most unuseful item for me now, because all we need to do, is kind of, we need to win war, we need to hug whole family, because at that moment, like, everything was in different place, everyone was in different place, and we couldn't know like what will happen. Kind of, we need to feel relieved, so win the war, hug whole family, and then rebuild the country. After all that mess, it was like kind of all the things you can think of. Yeah, and it was in March, and then we realized, okay, it's something that's not gonna happen as soon, but it was the only wish. And then all this traveling happened. I started drawing because I came to Poland to meet my parents, and a lot of personal things was occupying my professional life, so I couldn't work actually apart from drawing, which was helpful. And this was from airport. Many people was waiting just on the floor. I was doing just multiple sketches, and there are just few to share. And that was in London, where we were seeing occasionally Ukrainian flag. It was so sentimental, and the same in Scotland, yes. And like it's every time like a small moment, but it's like really draw your smile and like feeling of support and solidarity. So for example, when artists as well showing support, so I really respect what Chris Martin doing from Coldplay. Every time he's wearing wristband with the yellow and blue colors, like in terms of support Ukraine. So this kind of things they are important. So this makes sense. And then just a very recent one today. Even I was seeing completing some poster for Ukraine Film Festival in Warsaw. So even kind of this kind of event, which I love really much, Warsaw Film Festival for Ukraine. And however, we couldn't do same posters anymore, couldn't do like just happy neutral things about, how Ukraine is beautiful. It's just like that. So it was a drawing from the actual viaduct, like this bridge which has been destroyed totally. And then when I was in Ukraine, because I was coming for a bit for Easter to see my brother, because he's still in Ukraine and he couldn't leave. So we went there with my parents, and father was collecting these flowers for us with mom, and he was giving us as a present, like kind of to support and cheer us a little bit. So that was like all together combined, kind of it's a state of Ukraine a bit, kind of it's so ruined, but it give a lot of hope of new life, new beginning, new kind of the necessity of be together to support each other in this hard moment, but believing that this unbelievable strength of an energy of life will overcome, will let us through, let us to future, to better time. So this is all about hope. yeah, so just preparing the festival. Yeah, and basically that's it. Other thing, it's just my PhD work, which I don't know if we should talk about this much because maybe we shorten time, but I can go through maybe faster. Yeah. So that was board. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All good. So that was board game, actually, which I did as a first case in Warsaw Academy of Art. But that was very exciting and nice. So the storyline was about Jewish exiting Egypt, right? So it's Exodus. And then it was in the shape of game. So they were like for 4 people. It's a game which like take up to 40 minutes. And it's a competitive family strategy game. Yeah, and each player symbolizes Israeli family escaping from Egyptian bondage. Yes, and trekking across Sinai to freedom. So and you want to bring whole member of family to promised land. To be fair, like when I was doing that, I was so much distance from idea of actual escaping, yes, and I would never realize or never would make a link. Even I made it like in very wide and range kind of refugees in general, like they were already Syrian refugees, like not Afghanistani, but like partly when I was working on a project. But like so many people were already facing challenge of being a refugee, and I would never even imagine it somehow can relate to my family. But now, even I was preparing this presentation, I don't know, like I feel a bit different about the whole project after experiencing this in my life. But okay, I'll just go through and tell you what it's about. So the process was quite long-lasting, creating the game concept, prototype testing, designing game element, packaging, instruction, branding, job description for what it's about, and printing the project. So that was like super advanced process of doing things. So maybe I will show you so that like few books, like this was the whole dissertation, about, and all the story about gaming and like all the process and all the, so that was the actual game. I have it on slide, but just to give you an idea, so how it looked like and all the figures. But maybe you can go through slides as well, like briefly, so it will show what were the elements. So that was wooden pieces and textile with silk print on it. You can just go through faster. So, and all the elements are in there, and everything been crafted. And silk print for rule book and design, and like all the graphic work in there. It's okay. You can just go through. So that was showing how we can use storytelling in games as well. So my idea was to show that experience, of knowing the story or listening to it. It's a bit different than playing and being part of the actual family escaping. So which was having a different strategy of movement, and depending how you play, you would go or not to promised land, and like which can put you in position of responsibility. So that was all the prototypes which I had. It took a few years to go from the very early stages and through all the tries and wooden elements and all the play testing. So there were about 80 play tests during the period, from 19 to 21, and in different places with different categories. So there are like blind testing or like routine testing, and then like some extreme testing. So all the meeples which were made, all the so they were from wood. So all the ship was the most extreme shape. It was super complicated. Even it's like looks simple, but like to reach this point of simplicity, which is convincing enough, that was the main challenge. So I was keep trying. Like that was a version with a clay, which I refused using at some point. So I was really aiming to wood, and I was absolutely satisfied with that. yeah, so that was great solution, all the process. So father was helping me with all the crafting work. So luckily the time I can work in Ukraine for a bit, it was like my great pleasure to spend during the COVID time with my family and being able to use our workshop in there. Yeah, so that was quite nice. And then board was like, yeah, from textile. So I was dyeing it, and yeah, so this is the actual board. And you know, even to find nice color, to find nice textile, and like all the, you know, I was using different. So it was all about experiments, like what would be the best, like either what kind of ink, what kind of well, silk print was the best solution, to be fair, and then I was using it for everything, but I went through all the alternatives for that. Yeah, and then even dyes, even the small element, but I developed this system of numbers, which was a bit different from common, and yeah, just all of that crafted. So it gives you feeling of art, even in the element of game, you know. So that was my message, is that game need to be as beautiful as art. So you just you know, interact with it, and then art like has it function, its purpose. Yeah, even kind of art normally doesn't need to have it, but in settings with having game, it would be so beautiful that you can have something of functional and beautiful as well. Yeah, and all this army encounter, which symbolized the Egyptian army, you know, chasing families, so that like has a bit of crafted elements, and yeah, sensor. So it's all like elements of the game. Yeah, and packaging as well. So basically branding was other thing, like all the logo and how we package it. Oh, so yeah, so it's my father, and it was a workshop, so he was helping me significantly. Yeah, so now he's here. Yeah, so he came with mom, and yeah, all the version of packaging. Yeah, this was a lot of fun, to be honest, and I'm happy it's now completed. It took like quite a lot of time to find the best solution, but yeah, I learned a lot, and now I'm excited to share it and like have it for more people be able to play, because the best feedback I got, yes, from Maya, it was girl played it at 8 years old. I was just impressed. She literally said, yeah, it was the best game I have ever played in my life. Come on. You know, for this feedback, I'm ready to work, you know, as many years as needed, just, you know, to provide more games that kids can say, okay, it was my favorite game or the best one. Yeah, so basically that's it.
Thanks, Alina. Alina, I was just going. If anyone's got any questions, just to put them in the chat, that would be great. There's a lot there that could be spoken about, not least with the kind of history of the Ukraine project, then the specific project to do with Nomas, but also what you said about the board game. I found that really interesting. You know, that idea of an exodus and a group of people kind of moving out of a land and trying to find another land, and just your feeling on, you know, just your feeling on that, having made it at a distance, as it were, you know, just around this kind of subject in general, and then to look back on that in terms of experiencing what it means to leave your country. But you kind of alluded to that as well. But one thing that, Alina, I was just going to ask was, we didn't see the picture of your kind of main image, which we used for the poster. This one here, can everyone see that?
All right. Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I just wonder, would you mind sharing the story that, you know, I had said, you know, when I was doing the introduction, about the quote about when the war ends, when the flowers bloom, the war will end, and the story that you shared with me about your brother.
Yeah, absolutely. So where to start? Like, I mean, the flowers and all the nature is, you can see like in many drawings I'm doing, like for me it's just a hope. It's something that symbolizes this life, this energy to develop, this blessing in life, that just beauty of life. Yeah. So when in our family we celebrate some, just like some celebrations, very beautiful, and it's very nice and cherishing, and we don't use flower a lot, but usually for this kind of celebration where it's like International Women's Day, so father and brothers, they like bringing flower to us with mom, and it was like some symbol of cherishing. And so that was 8th of March, which was obviously like the second week of war, and everyone was in such a deep shock, and absolutely devastating moment. But we still managed to catch up with brother, and he was calling us, and it's very hard even to describe. So you kind of want to be together, but at the same time you don't know what to say. You don't want how to use this time, and you kind of, it's celebration, but you have nothing to celebrate, and he was trying to cheer up and like kind of saying, yes, like happy this Women's Day, like we want like you to be beautiful and happy and everything, like cherishing life, but in the same time, like we can be together, we can think about flowers, we can think about this cherishing, just all I can wish there's again, and we will just have moment of enjoying life without thinking overcoming challenges. So that was his wish, which was so beautiful and so intense that things. And even we were running out like somewhere to on the way. Yes, we need to change our place, we need to figure out where to live for more stability. Still like not enough, but kind of it's so much better than it was that time. So that was this beauty of my brother's wish to us, that he just wanted us to enjoy flowers again, meaning not having in the back of the head all the troubles. So which I wish all of Ukrainians like come to the point that they don't need to face all this danger and all this stress.
Yeah, question here from Chris. He says he was at Documenta 15 in Kassel in Germany, and they had various cooperative games there. For instance, non-competitive chess, card games, and especially a cooperative, not competitive version of Monopoly. Are you aware of these, Alina? He's asking. Just these different ways of playing games. Can you see that question in the chat?
I've been to Essen in Germany, the main fair, yes, for games, which actually we have quite just few like UK Game Expo in Birmingham, and then we have Essen, and in America we have like some fairs. So I can imagine Germany, it's a great place for games. Yes, so. Well, the thing is that we in games, we take action, yes. And why games for me are beautiful and interesting field of experiment, because you have safe place. So you can experiment in a safe way. And yes, you have responsibility, but if you will lose, you will lose it just like that. So game teach you to first try, second, don't be scared to lose because it's just part of the game to lose, but be happy to win because it's about rewards. Yes, it's like your cortisol level and everything. You're happy, you're excited, so you want to live, to win. So that's why, like, yes, this element of responsibility, you more related to the the hero of the story, or whoever you're playing, or if it's a role-playing game, or if it's a board game, or whatever game it is. So you kind of play a little bit, yes. So you imagine that you are part of the settings, and then you take responsibility what you want to act, how you want to be. And if it's like, I don't know, social deduction game, or if it's a game where you have you need like to guess what other people doing, and or you're supposed to lie in a way. So even you never would allow, I don't know, yourself lie in life because you have some moral limits or whatever. But sometimes, like our life, okay, also about compliments. We lie on like compliment level, or like kind of different things of perspective. So game would allow you to do that, or encourage you, or like try you to be like telling stories, or just challenge you. So all of that is about safe space where you can take responsibility to see how it affects your action, and then just use it or not in your real life, or your actual life, because it's all, for me, like you're testing your capacity in safe environment.
Yeah.
And also building relationship with people who you're playing with, because that is all about also like seeing other person's eyes, and like talk to them, communicate, like to feel, to be in same space. So that's why like I'm working with board games, just because the element of presence is very essential as well.
Alina, there's a good question here from Kirsty. If you can see that one, Alina. I noticed that the piece that you made about the calendar, and then it was like the post-it note, the to-do list. And there's humor in that. As much as it's dealing with the seriousness of the reality of that, the way that you produced it, has that element of humor. So I wonder if you can answer Kirsty's question. I think that's a really good question. Do you see that one?
How have you been able to maintain this in current context of the well, it's just coping mechanism. Just it's even not on choice, like kind of luckily I have this ability. So for example, I was a musician, yes, so I play music instrument, play flute and piano and so on. So I remember time when in the very hard moment, the only thing that could decrease my level of stress, just, even physically wise, on chemical level, it was just me playing music. So that was like my coping mechanism. Same with illustration. It's just, the way for me to overcome the situation. So okay, I can do that. Like I'm miserable in terms of not being able to help or not being able to affect it in any positive way. And that make me very depressed. But then, okay, at least I can draw, at least I can tell, at least I can share, at least like some other people will be there to share this problem, through seeing my image. So that was the way. And same with humor. It just, luckily enough, I grew up in contexts where we were, joking a lot, and our sarcasm level was quite high. So we were like even trolling each other, and it was like just common thing. And then when you use when you have your tools and your resources, so you just use them in this critical situation. So it just how much you prepared and like what you have in the moment, because you wouldn't be able to maybe learn it. Just say, okay, now I just joke, make a joke about war because it's, I don't know, the way. And to be fair, Ukrainian humor now is super crucial. You can't believe that. Like sometimes I even, it's awkward to translate what is happening there, because many people are using this as coping mechanism, and the level of black humor, which I'm not supporting much. I'm not kind of like, I don't kind of, it's not my thing, but now I understand like how reasonable it is. Okay, other bit, swearing, yes. So which also all my life I've been avoiding and like trying to not even go into there. Yes, of the war when like this famous Russian ship go and the swearing. So which was sincere, from the bottom of the heart of guy who was facing the life danger and threatening that you guys will be killed if you wouldn't surround now the island of Snake Island. It was we will let you leave. And they said, what, like you, and they say we are Russian sheep, something, and say, what, Russian sheep, yeah, just by Facebook, kind of not maybe able to share it now in loud, but kind of I feel this way. People, even children, start to asking, what is this about? Like, why is swearing? What's this word mean? And like, parents start like, you don't want to teach people, children this, yeah, but they start saying, oh, it's a special word which we use during wartime. So to explain and kind of, it has a purpose, yes, to share level of uncapable madness, yes, which human brain is not able to process. So we need to have special word about it, which is swearing. So to explain and somehow react on that. But after war finish, like, talking about children, we say, no, please, we don't use that. We are, waiting for a happier time. So yeah, there is like different times for that. And talking about humor, it was just amazing tool to cope.
One of the, I don't know if you answered Cowrie's question about the flowers, because obviously it was significant. You told me at the time about having to leave the family home, and there was this, leaving all your plants that you really cared for, that you'd been nurturing and growing for years and years. So flowers, flowers just was such a significant thing, wasn't it? And I think one of the pieces that you've got with the building that's been destroyed and then the greenery coming in, it's one of the ones that you didn't show us it today, but it's one of the ones in the windows that says life will win. And it's almost like that life comes through the ruins as well. And then there was the story you told me, Alina, about the soldier, the lady who put the seeds in the soldier's pocket. And that, would you mind sharing that one? Because that would be a good one just to finish with, the significance of that story. And then I'll hand over to Owen.
Yeah. So that was also very intense first months of the, not understanding what's happening and kind of, not accepting that other country can just invade. And it was like so many interesting situations when like soldiers with weapons are coming into the villages and towns and saying that, yeah, we are just here and you need to obey our rules. And then like people were, no, we don't accept that. And like, because they had Russian soldiers that had such low level of motivation and what is happening there, like there were so many who said, oh, we are just on training, and they couldn't even understand that that was actual, not military operation, but war, and invasion of independent country. So they were just confused what's happening, and they're like walking here and there with armor and so on. But like our ladies, weaponless, just, like this strong lady who were coming out on the, their guard yard or they're in the town, on the street and saying, hey guy, are you serious? You came on my land. They were talking this way, so ambitious and so kind of intensely. You are not supposed to be here. Go away from my land. And they were like multiples of stations like this, or even like on tanks. They were coming into the village, and like they were 100 people, just men, also without any weapon. Just they, block the roads with their bodies, so they were risking their life, but they were so devastated. No, you're not coming in our place. You are not. So there are so many stories like this, and while in that mood and general mood of protest and not coping and understanding why you would need to invade. So one of the ladies just came to the soldiers and said, oh, you know what, you're not welcome here, you're not supposed to be here, and you will die here, and he was like, what are you talking? We're just not supposed to talk even, like, why we talk? And she said, you know what, the best thing you can do, you can just take these seeds, and she literally had seeds and said, put it in your pocket, into your pocket of the jacket, and then once you will die here, at least some use will be from your body. So these seeds, the sunflower seeds will grow through your body, and we will have at least sunflowers. And that was kind of, it was just like lady, normal lady from the village or small town. She wasn't like any, kind of poetry educated. She was just normal lady who was so devastated about the land. So yeah, flower is very symbolic. And then I saw also for sunflower, well, we used to use sunflower symbol of Ukraine in a way, but it wasn't very common. But now it became like really symbolic. So even now in London, I saw seeds they were selling into the like kind of support Ukraine with few pounds, and like these seeds you can plant it at your place, and then kind of thinking of Ukraine. And it was like thinking of you, and it was like you, and then in embracing Ukraine. So that was very beautiful. Yeah. Yes, obviously.
Thank you, Alina. Thanks for sharing that story as well. There's been so many of those stories that we've shared together that have just made this, just working with you such a pleasure. And I'm glad that it has. I'm glad that it's been an outlet for you as well. I'm just aware. I don't know if the sound's been bad for everyone. It's been quite bad for me. Obviously the connection. So we're sorry about that. Obviously there's not. I don't think a lot we can do about it. But I'm just going to hand quickly over to Owen, then we'll thank Alina. So over to you, Owen.
Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, I've gone away forward, so I'll go back to the beginning.
Oh, nice.
So, Alina, I just want to say thank you personally for the quality of your work and for what you've shared today and for the breadth of it. There's so many things we could go into, and I'm just very grateful for you showing with Cully and I at Nomas. So it means a great deal.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, for the guys who haven't actually been in the street in Dundee, here's some little shots of the install as it is, and we were really pleased because they've held up over the summer months. Sometimes the heat actually affects the prints in the windows, and so it's still looking fresh as when it was installed. So we're very happy about that as well. Not only the content, but just the whole presentation. Some examples. And again, so poignant in terms of the flowers and enjoying them. I heard the story about the lady planting or giving the soldiers seeds, and it's quite a kind of dark humour, as you say, as well. But also I was very struck by the bin men. When Kiev was being shelled, the guys were cleaning up the streets and they were planting flowers in the streets. And I just thought, what a defiant protest using such a gentle symbol in the midst of being shelled. They were literally out at 7 a.m. sweeping the streets from rubble and maintaining the flower beds in the cities. And I just thought, wow. And it tied in, of course, at the same time as your show was going up, and I read the article. I can't find the article online, which is really annoying. Been looking for it for today's talk. And the picture that Cully referenced with bombed out building and nature, life will prevail, really, is just such a powerful message. So we are delighted to be part of that ourselves. We're also very delighted to be able to do our very second Nomas space this year. And so we took, Alina kindly gave us the graphics at a larger format, and we were able to present these opposite the railway station in Dundee. So people who come straight out of the central station in Dundee, if you know what I mean, the first thing they'll see as they look across the road is Alina's artwork. I was in a meeting in the new building that you can see in the background a couple of weeks ago, and the people I was meeting had come up from Glasgow and Edinburgh, and I was describing the artwork that we produced around the city or show around the city. They didn't know it was us, and they said, we've just been taking selfies in front of these posters, so you have a lot of support across Scotland. And I was really touched that the people had, they'd photographed each other when they'd come up to do a meeting in Dundee. And so I was really pleased to be part of that as part of Nomas. I'd like to sort of, well, I'll come back to Lou in a wee minute, but I was thinking about a lot of what you said today, and the kind of war artist from World War I, Wilfred Owen, he had that phrase, the poetry is in the pity. And just, I think for artists, that is important there, the ability to kind of connect with other people in that way and just express that kind of feeling of collective identity is so important, And when you were describing playing music or drawing, I saw Picasso's quote in a different light. He says it's an offensive and a defensive weapon against the enemy to make paintings. But actually, that I thought that of in an external way, but in an interior world, for us to make art is a defensive act. It's the one thing you can do. I might not be able to be a soldier, but I can draw. I can do something. And I was really struck. It can be culturally a defensive or offensive activity, but it's also a way of securing and strengthening yourself in the face of the enormous stress that can be felt. And this lovely quote as well about art and art making. It was, from De Bruyn and de Mesner, and making an artifact, sharing it with the community. And then there's this trialogue between makers, the art object, and the audience. And because it's in the public, it can be used to help reconciliation. And the freedom the art object gives is it can be embody hurt or hate or love. And it gives people a chance to come to terms with grief, shame, and fear. And it can acknowledge and accept all the excesses. And it can show the differences that exist without leading to violence. And art can allow people to rediscover community and find a grave for the irreconcilable. And I was really struck by those quotes in the sense of how much the role of the artist, you've got an individual desire to deal with the trouble, but then how that can help the whole community, the nation of Ukraine. And then art has been used across the world to bring conflicts in Northern Ireland, Rwanda, in South America. It's been there to actually help bring communities together in a remarkable way. And these 5 prints in Dundee give me a lot of hope and a lot of courage. And I just hope that you'll see that what you're doing is making a difference, I believe. So even though you don't feel you're straight away in your own country. So thank you for sharing it in Nomas.